Hi, everybody. So, remember when I used to read y'all my stories that I wrote? Well, I haven't wrote one in a very long time, but I recently finished writing one. I did start writing it on Valentine's Day, but I didn't finish it until not that long ago. So, it is a Valentine's Day related story, but I still want to read it to you guys because it's still really good. So, let's get into it. Valentine's Day Written Nightmare, written on 2/4/2024. Hi, my name is Maddie and I recently turned 18. I've never had a boyfriend before, but with Valentine's Day coming up and me finally being an adult, I'd figured I'd give it a go. I don't have much of a social life, so I'd figured I'd try a dating app. I was a little nervous to try it because of all the horror stories I've heard, so I decided to go with the most popular dating app, which is Tinder. I made my account and almost immediately I started getting messages. A lot of them were men asking for nudes or asking to hook up, which I didn't want either of those things, so of course I ignored them. I was starting to think that I wasn't going to find a guy that wanted a genuine relationship. I decided to get some sleep since it was getting pretty late. As I started to close my eyes, I heard the Tinder notification go off on my phone. I debated on whether I should answer it now or wait till the morning. Curiosity got the best of me, and I picked up my phone to check. I noticed a message from a man named James. His message was different than the others. It said, "Hi, I hope your night is going well. Just wanted to say you were the prettiest girl I've ever seen." I know that seems simple and dumb, but after getting nothing but gross messages, it was a pleasant surprise to finally get something normal. I replied with a simple, "Hey, thank you for the compliment, but my night is going well. How was yours?" After that, I still don't know how it happened, but we managed to stay up all night talking to each other. We quickly moved over the text message, and that was the start of nonstop texting all hours of the day and night. Days had gone by, and me and James had quickly grown obsessed with talking to each other for hours on end. Looking back now, this probably should have been a warning sign, but considering this was the first time I had ever had feelings for a boy, I didn't really know the warning signs yet. I started to notice that if I took too long to respond to James, he'd send me multiple messages and keep doing that until I finally answered. I had already warned him that some days I wouldn't be able to respond quickly due to having to focus on schoolwork during the week. I tried letting it go because I really liked him, but it kept happening. Despite all the warning signs and all the red flags I should have been paying attention to, I was still trying to make plans to meet with him. With Valentine's Day being tomorrow, I was hoping we'd meet tomorrow. So for the first time in my life, I'd actually be able to spend Valentine's Day with somebody. Every time we talked about meeting, he would say he'd love to meet me and is so excited to finally see me in person, but we would never actually make a day or time to meet. At first, it didn't bother me, but as my feelings for him grew, I started to get worried that he didn't actually feel the same way about me. I also realized that we had never FaceTimed despite both having iPhones. I finally decided to build up the courage to ask if he'd like to FaceTime, and the answer I was hoping I didn't get is exactly what I got, which was for some reason or another he couldn't FaceTime. He said it was because he still lives with his parents and they fight a lot. I told him that wouldn't bother me, but he still refused to FaceTime. It did seem like a valid reason, so I decided to let it go. I had decided to also ask if he'd like to meet tomorrow so we could hang out for Valentine's Day. I was expecting him to say no, to be honest, but he actually said yes. From there, we picked a place and time, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited to finally meet him. The next day, I got up and I was more excited than ever. The day was finally here. I was going to finally meet the boy of my dreams. We agreed to have dinner at 7 p.m. and we would meet at the restaurant. We texted back and forth as usual, counting down the hours together. I was a little nervous at first. at the fact that he still wouldn't FaceTime me, but I tried to forget about it since I really liked him. Finally, the time was nearing 7 p.m., so I began to make my way to the restaurant. I got us a table and waited for him. I noticed it was beginning to go past 7 p.m., but I tried not to get too worried because I understood that maybe he got stuck in traffic. I tried texting him and noticed that my messages would turn green. My anxiety started to get higher because green messages meant either his phone had died or I was blocked. At this point, it was way past 7 p.m., and I was considering just getting up and leaving. Unfortunately, I had to face reality that I had gotten stood up. I got up from my seat and began to walk out the restaurant. I got into my car and started to head home. I didn't notice at first, but eventually I noticed that a small black car that had been making all the same turns as me. As I was already having a terrible night, I tried to ignore it, but I'd be lying if I didn't admit that it was creeping me out. I turned down the road where I lived, hoping that the car wouldn't follow me. Luckily, as I got closer to my house, I noticed the car wasn't behind me anymore. I pulled into my driveway and made my way into my house. I texted James letting him know how I felt about him standing me up like that, but my messages were still green. I got into some comfy clothes and warmed up some leftovers to relax on the couch with. I sat on the couch and started to eat my leftovers. As the night went on, I fell asleep on the couch, but was woken up by a loud knock on the door. I looked at my phone to check the time and noticed that I had a bunch of text and missed calls from a number I didn't have saved. When I saw the text, my heart dropped. It was a picture of my house and of me. The message just said, "It's me, James. Answer the door. I'm sorry for earlier, but I wasn't fully truthful with you." As I dialed 911, the knocking on my door turned into banging and kicking, as whoever was on the other side was trying to break in. The person on the other side started to demand I let him in. As soon as he spoke, I recognized the voice. It was James. I stayed on the phone with 911 while I peeked through the window. The man that was supposed to be James was actually an old, heavy set man that looked like he hadn't showered in weeks. Scared that he was gonna be able to break down my door, I ran upstairs into my bedroom and locked myself in the closet. Seconds after locking my closet door, I heard my front door break down and everything in my house began to get smashed. I heard the man make his way upstairs. Luckily, at the same time, I heard the sounds of sirens pulling up to my house. The cops had came in and arrested the man. After the officers found me and calmed me down, they asked me a bunch of questions. I ended up finding out that 18-year-old James never existed. It was actually a 46-year-old man that had been kidnapping and killing women lately in my town. The little black car that was following me was his. If I had opened my front door that night without checking my phone first, I don't think I'd be here writing this story today. I'm not saying never go on dating apps, but I will just say be very careful on who you agree to go out on a date with. I hope y'all enjoyed the story. I didn't think it was going to be that long, but I do hope you guys all enjoyed it. And that is the end of the video. Bye, everybody.